All right. So we're we're live. Man, I have never had this much trouble in my life when it comes to technology. Okay. So anyway, first live stream here. Rager. That is my last name, by the way. I don't just say that because I think I'm cool by any means. But with that said, it's Rager Crypto, an OG who's been here for a long time. And today I want to talk about Bitcoin. I want to talk about what's going on in the market. Was this the market top? Right. Everybody wants to ask, is this it? And what do I think about specifically Bitcoin and what's going to happen? And so my response to that is we have to look a little bit at the analytics. Let's look at the history. Let's see what's going on. Bottom line, I think things are going to be quite fine. We just needed to pull back right here, and we'll get into the chart here in a minute. So as always, nothing is financial advice. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, I want you to go ahead and do that. Excuse me, even though my first live stream here is a bit of a disaster, but man, that's what makes it fun, right? And so each and every week and daily, I want to give updates on the crypto market, and I think a lot of you guys who are watching me know me. I mean, I don't have anything to sell you. It's just because I enjoy doing this. And with that said, I want you to go ahead and click here, over here on the subscribe button. You're going to find it. Customized channel managed videos is my info, but you're going to see subscribe button. Make sure to do that. And if you like the video, you can always like and share it. But let's go ahead and get started on Bitcoin. And I want to go ahead and look at the Bitcoin chart because I've been messing with this live stream stuff over the past few hours, and I have not been able to pay attention much to Bitcoin. But when it comes to Bitcoin, what's going on here is that it's actually holding the bottom of this range, prior range. And so a nice fat wick from 117 down to 115 here on the daily chart, which really says to me people are buying it up. And it's a good thing as the stock markets have now been closed here for a couple of hours. If we look at the weekly chart, a lot of people are talking about this. And what are they talking about? They're talking about this wick up here, this swing failure pattern. And really what that means is that it's a common pattern where in crypto or any asset, specifically in Bitcoin, what you're going to notice is you're going to see a previous high, a wick, and then you're going to see here days or weeks later, depending on the time frame of chart, you're going to see price wick above it. But actually what ends up happening is it catches people off sides. They say, oh, Bitcoin is about to run to 130, 140. I got to get in. People FOMO in, and that's when, of course, that swing failure pattern, price breaks back down below typically the level before. So just understand that that's what happened recently. And historically, whenever we've had a swing failure pattern on Bitcoin, on the weekly, on the higher time frame charts, it's typically led to pullbacks, substantial pullbacks. And so understand that, and that's currently where we're at right now. But on the daily, here on the daily, we have a nice wick. On the 4 hour, it looks like we're trying to break above this key area of 115 to 116. And that's what I want to see. I want to see this 115, 116 hold. I want it to see it to continue to hold. I want to see price continue to push up. And I think that then we can probably retest here 119, 120 here in the coming days. Now, we have a lot going on this week. And so I want to go ahead and break that down as well. And so we've got not only FOMC meeting minutes, so basically what went down last month at FOMC, because we don't have an FOMC this month. We have it in September. And that's going to be a huge factor on what happens to the price of crypto and Bitcoin. And we'll go ahead and break that down. But we've also got Jackson Hole and Federal Jerome Powell, his talk on Friday. Perfect ending to the week for the fact that also on Thursday, we've got Walmart earnings. Walmart. Now, typically you don't look at Walmart as a big deal. You look at Amazon, you look at Google, you look at all the major Mag 7, all the tech companies, but Walmart, though, is going to be very important, because what happens with Walmart is it tends to show whenever they're doing well, whenever Walmart has good earnings, it means people are buying goods. And it's one of the biggest retail in the entire country of the United States of America. And when things are looking good for Walmart and these retail stores, typically that's better for the overall economy. And so that's going to be a good factor as it goes into Friday, because if earnings are good for these retail stores, then hopefully people are buying, and hopefully that's a good sign, because the more people buy, the more earnings. Hopefully that's a better sign that the Federal Reserve can cut rates in September. So we'll talk about that, jobless claims as well. And let's go ahead and continue to break some stuff down here for Bitcoin. I also want to look at Ethereum as well, too. Ethereum has been very strong. And so I drew this magnet a long time ago. I've just left it on there. I'm going to continue to leave it on there because I believe that Ethereum is going to break on new highs in 2025. Now, this is the issue. It wicked up on the weekly chart into the resistance area, okay? This wicking up here typically means a long wick like that, potential for profit taking, okay? So push back down a little bit on the daily chart for Ethereum. Again, nice wick. Where I was watching was the 3 and 4 hour chart, because I even said this on yesterday's video. Lots of lines here, ignore a lot of that, but still in a downtrend. If I were to draw a trend lines are kind of a meme. Trend lines are meant to be broken, but if you could potentially, people trade trend lines, but you could see potentially Ethereum go up to 4,500, reject and come back down, but it is a downtrend right now. It is, and that's on the lower intraday time frames, which is not a big deal. But if it were to break down anymore, I think a good spot to catch ETH would be 4,100. Now, we did wick down to 42, but below this level, I think would be a good buying opportunity. There are other people, of course, who think that Ethereum can break back down here to the 36 to 33 level, okay? So if I were to come down here, this level right here is where some people are watching. I think that is just pure speculation, and you're just getting ahead of yourself. It needs to break down below 4,100 before you freak out. But that's a massive gap between ranges right there, 4,100 to 3,900. So naturally, if it's going to break below 41, it's going to continue to rapidly go on down to 38, 39. Okay, so be ready for that if there is a breakdown. I do like to talk about all scenarios. Ethereum has been very strong, and I don't think that it's over yet. Okay, so Ethereum has also outperformed Bitcoin since June. So when it looks to getting into assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I have both. But for Bitcoin maxis who are looking to stack sats, maybe that's you. Maybe you're looking to add more Bitcoin. Well, buy Ethereum if it's stronger, or buy whatever is stronger, Solana, Link, whatever. That's a great strategy for any Bitcoin maxi as well. You're trading is all you're doing, and then you're buying more Bitcoin with it. So, welcome, Ross. Good to see you in the chat. My first chat ever, so appreciate you. But when it comes down to Ethereum, it's been outperforming. So I think that, will this trend continue? Yeah, I think right now it still continues to be an uptrend if you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So it looks fine. But it's not going to go up forever. Just like Bitcoin dominance is not going to continue to drop. This is Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, it's kind of funny. I drew this trend line. I think other people drew it too. But this is a bit of a meme. I don't necessarily think that this is the top for Bitcoin dominance. It could certainly go up more, especially if we get some type of pullback here in September, October, which is typically to be expected this time of year. We can look at the returns. Maybe we can look at that on the next live stream. But Bitcoin, over the past few days, has pulled back 10%, okay? So the last time, Bitcoin dominance broke down, It was in November and it broke down 10%. Same thing this time, 10%. So that is what we've been seeing as far as maximum for Bitcoin breakdown. I think even here as well too, we had around 10% for breakdown for Bitcoin dominance. It's 8%. But point being is you're typically not going to get more than 10% at a time for Bitcoin dominance breakdown. So that's to be said as well. When we were looking at ETH really going hard, really outperforming, Bitcoin dominance is broke down 10%, and it's probably a sign that things could potentially slow down for alts and Ethereum, and then Bitcoin kind of take its rightful place again as the leader. And so what you're going to see is if we have any type of pullback here in the next month, that Bitcoin dominance will continue to go back up because people both go into stable coins and they go into Bitcoin, because we do know that Bitcoin is a long-term hold for most people, a great store of value overall as it outperforms both stocks and the US dollar over the past decade. So the other things that we want to look at is, Bitcoin pullbacks. Why did this happen? And I just basically explained it, is that it needed a cool down is what happened, because Bitcoin and Ethereum both were pretty much on a rally since down here in April. So since April, we've had a beautiful uptrend. And if you look at the weekly chart, even though we have a big fat wick there, right, it's still just basically going sideways. I mean, the range here on the weekly is 120 down to 114. Okay, you could even say 112. 112 to 123 is a range. So if you're freaking out about this pullback by any means, you need to stop, because that's typical. You're going to see 30% pullbacks. Historically, if we were to go back in any bull uptrend, you're going to see those pullbacks, especially back in 2017, 18. If you guys were around then, you're going to see those pullbacks. But bottom line, this was very healthy, and I don't want you to freak out, because it's something that's going to happen on these bullish uptrends for Bitcoin. I know I'm moving the chart around a lot, but this is not really a big deal, okay? And so I went to CoinGlass here because the total liquidations, because people were asking, was this just a mass liquidation? And no. I mean, the liquidations for the past day or so, I mean, here this week, a few days ago, back on the 13th, that was pretty high. That was the second to third highest. But other than that, people were kind of getting off sides there, kind of crazy. Here in the last couple of days, it hasn't even been bad. So for Bitcoin to continue to break down here in the last few days, not a big deal. If anything, people were starting to go short. So you could see that a short squeeze up ahead. Now, people are also asking, is this a cycle top? Now, I don't think it is. And so to go ahead and tell you this, CoinGlass is a pretty helpful overall website. If you've never seen CoinGlass, they've got all kinds of indicators. I love to look at historical analysis on CoinGlass. And another thing that they have is bull market peak indicators, sell at the top indicators. And what it tells you up here, if you can see, is it says hold 100%, sell 0%. Basically, it's telling you to continue to hold. Based on these all-time high cycle top indicators, it's saying Bitcoin is 100% still a hold right now. You shouldn't be selling it. So based on the indicators. And so Pi cycle top, a lot of these multiples, a lot of these ratios, MVRV score. I like to look at this. Basically, this will also be a really good indicator to signal when the top is, and whenever it peaks up here to the yellow line, peaks up to the pink, that means it's time to sell. And so the only problem with this is again, any of these indicators is we've got a very small sample size. Very small. I mean, it's been 3-4 cycles. That's all it's been. And so you're going to notice that each and every cycle too, the top gets lower. So there's no promise that this is going to wick up into the pink this time. If anything, if you see this MVRV score, if it hits 6 or above, it's probably a good time to sell. I wouldn't even wait until it got into the pink. So if you're looking for indicators, this is one specifically. But what I did find recently that I really do like is this Bitcoin quantile model, okay? And it's a little bit different. And basically, what's going to happen is it takes in consideration the velocity and price change and volatility of Bitcoin, okay? And a lot of the other indicators just use these smooth moving averages, but Bitcoin's asymmetric. Again, it's very volatile, and you can't always use those as automatic indicators. So it puts into practice more or less whenever you start to see a divergence overall, it will show this on the lines right here. I also wrote up some information here about it. And so basically, I can even read it to you. Most people try to predict Bitcoin's future price by using averages or drawing trend lines, but Bitcoin doesn't behave like most assets. Instead of guessing where the average price, this model looks at price extremes. And that's why I love it, is because oftentimes we see a euphoric price extreme run into crypto when we see at the market high. So the very highest highs and the very lowest lows of Bitcoin's history, it's the quantile regression, okay? And so why is it better? Is because it accepts that Bitcoin is unpredictable. It fits the data in the way that shows the price action, the volatility. And so why should you care? Because it's going to really show you where Bitcoin is overvalued and undervalued. And so based on that, I want to go ahead and check it out and look and see the pink line. You're going to notice whenever it hits up in this pink line over here, okay, the second to the top line, there's a blue line, then a pink line, pink, purple, whatever. And basically, that's the 95th percentile on the quantile model. If it ever hits the 95th percentile on the quantile model, that is 100% time to sell. Now, you would have missed the top if you followed this in 2017, but 2021 actually was quite on target. Now, and why I also like this model, let me just end it here with you. If you remember, we had two peak tops in 2021 for Bitcoin. Most models didn't signal or catch the second top, but the Bitcoin quantile model did. You're going to notice that it's up in the pink both the first time and the second time, okay? So it did hit twice, and so that's in case we have any type of double top, triple top, whatever. You just have to understand that if it hits up here in this pink purple area up at the top, not in the midline, and that is actually at a price at 220,000 potentially. So that's how high Bitcoin could potentially go here in the next 6 months to a year. And some people believe even higher due to the scarcity in the ETFs and everything. So Bitcoin quantile model, I really like it. Just wanted to show you guys that is a pretty cool model overall. But price action, even in general too, I'll be honest with you, even outside of all these fancy models, price action for Bitcoin on the weekly, we haven't had this euphoria yet, this blow off the top by any means. It's been kind of a, now if Bitcoin continued and it pushed up to 140, 150 here over this past couple of weeks, okay, that would be different. Then I'd say maybe that was the blow off the top. That was maybe the cycle top for now. But we're just ranging still up in this weekly zone. And so because of this slow grind up, and a lot of people too are putting these trend lines, okay? It's not a perfect trend line by any means, but I'm just saying that it's just been kind of trending up. If you were to do, they're following the moving averages quite well. This is the weekly, okay? So this is, I believe, the 50 and the 20. And so it's been holding the 50 quite well on the weekly. So just understand that no, I don't think that there's a cycle top, not only because of all the models and signaling, but also as well too. We haven't had the frothy euphoria that we've had. And a lot of people will be quick to tell you that Ethereum is one of the last things that explodes before the market pulls back as well. And that's true. It doesn't mean that it's over, because the same thing happened to Ethereum back in 2021. Back here in April of 2021 in May, if I were to go back, you're going to notice on the weekly chart, sorry, it's pretty messy here. Here we go. On the weekly chart, all right, 2021. March, April, just totally ripped. And that was after Bitcoin topped, and then the Coinbase IPO, and then Ethereum ripped after that. And then look what happened. Yes, we had a market meltdown the next couple of weeks, the next few weeks. Actually, it dropped from, Ethereum dropped from 43 to 1700, like 60, what is that, 60, 70% in 2 weeks. It was crazy if you were there. And so it just goes to show you that quite oftentimes, yes, Ethereum has marked the tops, but it happened in 2018 too. But it went on to form a bottom over a couple of weeks, and it ran back up to new highs. So what I'm trying to tell you is we saw the same thing back in 2021. Ethereum rallied up hard. It did pull back, but we had another rally the coming year. And I think that, again, with everything that's going on, we'll likely see, with all the treasuries, with the ETFs, we'll likely continue to see Ethereum do pretty well when it comes to the upcoming 6 months to a year. Okay? So, other things that we want to look at, stock market again, closed sideways. I got to sit here and talk about the stock market, but in general, you have to understand, a lot of people were scared about the Bitcoin drop over the past few days and week. And again, the stock market didn't do anything. It's just been going sideways to show you, again, the reason Bitcoin pulled back was because it needed to pull back. It needed a little breather. And there's nothing wrong with that, with it moving down 5 to 15%. So, expectations for the coming month. Now, FedWatch will show you 83% right now. If you can see on the small number, 83%, let me go ahead and zoom in here a little bit. 83% is the projected probability of a rate cut in September. And why is this important again? Well, it's important because whenever there are rate cuts, people borrow more money. When people borrow more money, they buy more assets. When people buy assets, prices go up. So that's the good thing for risk on assets, is because when rates go down, it's cheap to buy money. It's cheap to borrow money to buy assets. You buy risk on assets, prices go up. That's how it happens. So that's what we're seeing. It was 100% probability here prior to this past week. Now we're down to 83%. But again, 83 out of 100% is very, very telling that it's likely to do well. It's likely to go through, and the market react to that eventually. Now, I believe that this is going to be a sell the news event, and it's based, and everything comes down this week to Jerome Powell. Okay, I just Googled Jerome Powell, Jackson Hole, where he's going to have a speech, the Fed chair, and it says, rate cut watch, all eyes on Fed Chair Powell's final Jackson Hole speech. And so, as you remember, it says PPI gives Powell food for thought. We had PPI inflation come in high this past week. That's why we saw that market drop for Bitcoin. That's why we saw it drop up here, this wick from 123, 124 down to 114, right? That's why we saw that. Inflation came in high. Everybody was like, they're not going to cut rates, speculating, right? But the FedWatch said, nope, 100% no longer priced in, but a probability, but now it's 83%, which is still really good. So you can't really worry about that. I think that initial knee-jerk reaction is what you saw in the market, okay? So 83% still good. All eyes on Fed Chair Powell, and if he does give a speech and he does talk about or give clues that leans toward rate cuts in September, then it's likely that the market's going to react good. So this week is big. My last video, I said all eyes on this week, a big week ahead. Again, FOMC meeting minutes where they'll give maybe a little bit of a breakdown of their thoughts on what they talked about last time. I don't know, market can maybe dip on that, but more inflation or jobless earnings for Walmart, jobless claims as well on Thursday. Okay, lots of things. That's why I'm getting them all mixed up. And so that's all going to lead up to Powell's speech on Friday, and that's going to be the big day, because based on what happens on his speech, I believe that that's going to set us up for a rally going into September, for then a big pullback, or potentially a pullback now, and then maybe more of a rally in mid-September. So I think it could be kind of a two ways, and it's hard to know because for me personally, I've thought that Bitcoin was going to pull back a little here and then rally to new highs again into September. October historically always pulls back, will pull back, and then those rate cuts will come, and then by October we'll kind of bottom out and then go back up. November, December, January, have a good into the Q4 and early Q1. So that's what I think, but that's what you need to watch, and that's the importance of that. So but yeah, questions: how can we tell whether or not to expect that the rate cuts will fuel a dramatic market upswing or sell the news event? And basically it's just going to be in his speech. You're going to see the market react pretty quickly. That was the question. So you're going to see the market react probably pretty quickly based on what he says. So I expect Friday to be somewhat volatile. And again, if he's giving clues about things being bad and they may need to reconsider things again, then potentially that could have a market pullback. But if he gives any clues that it seems like, and he tends to do a really good job, Jerome Powell tends to do a really good job in using speech that's usually pretty even kill. He does a good job of that. He's not like the president that just, says whatever they want and the market reacts violently either way. But even if he does talk about rate cuts, I mean, he'll smooth it in there, but you're going to see the market react based on that. And so it is going into the weekend, though. So then the stock market will end up closing. But again, Bitcoin will do its thing and likely based on the end of Friday and then open on Monday to see what's going to go down. But bottom line, I think that if Walmart earnings are good, if the jobless claims are helpful, and some of the FOMC meeting minutes aren't bad, like these things leading up to Friday, then it's probably going to help him give a speech that's going to fare for rate cuts. And you're also going to see too, if you watch this FedWatch as well too, based on his speech, this will adjust as well too for probability. So you're going to see that if that drops down significantly, that could be a bad thing of what people think. But as of now, 83% is pretty good. So, but that's it for Bitcoin. Ethereum, the only other thing too is that Chainlink has been really strong. If I go and look up Chainlink, if you're looking for things to hold, like I tell people all the time, especially if you're Bitcoin holders, I always say, hey, make sure that you're holding some strong altcoins if you're looking to continue to do well in the overall market, because Chainlink has just been so strong. And so if we look at the intraday charts, look at that. This continues to hit local highs. And so I do foresee Chainlink continuing up if the market doesn't nuke by any means. And it looks like Chainlink looks like it wants to go and retest these areas over here. And typically that's what you see happens, right? You see an area of interest and automatically a lot of TA is self-fulfilling prophecy. Why do people sell at support and resistance lines? Why do people sell at trend lines? Why do people sell at Fibonacci lines? It's because they believe that other people are going to buy or sell there. It's a lot of it is self-fulfilling prophecy. But point being, and that doesn't take anything out of it because TA is really helpful for sure. But I do believe that it could wick here above 27, maybe get a pullback. I don't think it goes below. I think if it hits 30 up here, it'll significantly pull back. So if Chainlink does push up by any means, $3 more and hits 30, I think it would pull back down here to 27 at least. So just understand it's a slow grind. But all eyes are on Friday on Powell regardless. But Chainlink has been one of the strongest assets. And when it comes down to these majors, you always want to try to buy strength and things that are outperforming the other things. So if you've got to choose between ETH and Link and Solana and these other majors, what do you choose? You choose what's strong. You know, for weeks and months, Ethereum was not as strong as Solana, and you needed to be in Solana. That hasn't been the case over the past couple of months or weeks. ETH has been the strongest, and that's what you wanted to be in. So again, Chainlink has been really strong. That's why I highlighted. I do believe that it's important. So low caps, of course, I'll talk a little bit about those. I know specifically people were asking about Bongo. I'll talk about Bongo here in a minute. True Market, man, you know what? I did not buy this, and I talked about it in my last video. I should take my own advice. This was at 7 million, and it'd be up 2x right now. And I told you guys, I talked about True Markets. And that's why it's so important to watch every video. Crypto changes. So again, make sure if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, you want to subscribe, because I'm doing these live talks. You never know when we talk about something and then something takes off. The True Markets looking pretty good. Prediction markets overall, I said it looks like it's going to break up. If it was going to break 8 million, it was going to rapidly pick up, and it did. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just, again, now it's broken above 12. It's about to hit kind of a new weekly close high. I wish I bought this. I did not. And now it's like I'm just watching it. So it's hard for me. In the last hour alone, it's pumped quite a bit. It looked like we had some pretty big buyers here. And what a lot of times, too, what I like to do is this guy specifically has been buying. And so, yeah, had some pretty big buys. A lot of these. But in general, not a lot of volume. But there's no selling either. So if nobody's selling and everybody's buying, even though the volume's low, it's going to go up. It's going to be good. So, but True seems like a good overall fundamentally asset. And of course, if you don't know what True is, it is a prediction markets, kind of like Poly Market. It's not opening up. There it goes. But that's what it is. A little slow here, but basically you can bet or gamble, based on prices of assets. You can gamble on other things too. But business, pop culture, entertainment, you name it. So again, Tesla's price above 380 during August, yes or no, right? And so basically you can bet on all these things. All right, so True Markets is looking pretty good. Somebody asked about Bongo. It's something that I've been involved with for a long time. 6.9 million. I believe that it's a great, meme overall. Again, it's just been flatlined here. And so the good news is that what this shows me, though, is that there's a strong community, in which I know that there is. So anytime you see something like this that's in a long range, it just shows that you've got a lot of strength, a lot of holders. And so if that ever picks up, it's going to have a lot of strength. So I do want to see Bongo hold this, and it would be great to see Bongo eventually break above 14, 15 million. Definitely there's been added things to Bongo. There's a new AI music maker, which is one of a kind. You're not going to find it with any other meme that they have. And there's other talks and speculation too. I know a lot of people want to migrate over to potentially Bonk or other things, and that's something that the community can talk about and decide on too. But fundamentally, there's a lot of bullish fundamentals. Not to mention like one of the largest names in crypto, UniPCS, goes by Bonk Guy, also is a holder, one of the top holders of this, and he continues to be quite bullish. So if he ever starts talking about this, I expect price to skyrocket up. So Bongo overall, holding pretty well here, even during the volatile times. A couple of the other assets, I know Stupid is another thing. Talking to Bonk Guy, UniPCS, this was something that he talked about in a tweet along with Football Inu. So Stupid Inu and Football Inu. And these are lower caps, again, higher risk. Again, based on your risk management, I'll make some videos about how to trade these, but always less of your portfolio need to go in these. These can go to zero. These can pull back at any time. And so bottom line, even though I like something, sometimes it pulls back, and then a lot of times they end up pumping too. But Stupid actually did pretty well. It hit up to 7-8 million, and it's curled back down, hit 1.5 million, and it's slowly moving up. So watch for it to potentially, but I want to see this break probably the 4 million mark. If it can break above 4 million, it'll probably continue to go on up. Okay, so small market, small lower caps. Another one that I talked about, it puked kind of recently. It's kind of bouncing right now. Was the opposite of stupid Inu, was football Inu. And I like this one specifically because it's different. It's funny. It's a ugly dog drawn on a soccer ball or a football, which majority of people in the world call it football. That's why it's football Inu. FBI is a funny ticker. And so pretty strong holder base. I know some of the guys working on it. That's why I liked it. That's why I shared it. And so I think that bottom line, if they continue to work on this, that it's going to continue to grind on up and follow stupid Inu, which is at 3.4 million and hit 7-8 million. I can see FBI doing the same. I think so. Higher risk, higher reward type of thing. Again, lower cap, but the lower the market cap something is, the higher it can push, and typically the better returns. But the key is again, like I even bought more up here at like 700. And then it dipped down to 400, right? So, I mean, I'm down 30-40% from those buys, but I dollar cost average in certain things. And again, smaller amount of your portfolio, not a large amount when we're talking about low caps, but people do like low caps, so I do talk about them, okay? So, football, Inu, FBI is another one that I've liked. The other one that I liked was Halo, and it has recently been pumping quite a bit. It hit 8.7 here. Broke its or equaled its all-time high. I've talked about this. So along with FBI, Halo is also one of the holds that I'm holding right now, and it's been super strong. It is off of the new DEX called Heaven DEX, and with Heaven DEX, we know that they raised $22 million. They don't want to flop right now, so they need some runners from their DEX, and Halo is probably going to be one of those, as well as Light. So, yes, and then I got Wojak also, too. Somebody wants me to talk about that. Totally. But with low caps, you see that Halo actually is holding really well. It's holding this line. So, again, as long as it's holding in this area of 5 million, okay, and it's doing pretty well. It's just kind of in a range is all it is. And so people are trading it, selling it up above 8 million, but eventually what ends up happening is those sellers end up going away, and you see that price just slowly just kind of pushes on up. I'm not saying that it's going to go to 14 million that fast. I'm just saying that tends to happen when you see a range like that. You want to see a break of the range. So as long as this range right here breaks, okay, then a lot of times you buy low, or you wait on these low caps, and you want to see this range. So you don't necessarily buy a pump out of this, okay? Sometimes if it pumps, people will chase. These are lower liquidity, lower market cap, so they can pump harder. But then what ends up happening is people sell into it, and then there's a retest at like the 7-8 million. So if it pumped up to 10, if it retests down here in this range, that's again a place where I would buy the retest, and then for price to move up. So that's kind of how I'm trading these low caps overall. But again, it's like I've made a ton of money off low caps trading. My biggest trades have been buying Ethereum under 200, buying Bitcoin, $2,000 to $3,000, and then trading a lot of these low caps and holding them, a lot of them for long-term gains. So I think bottom line, Halo's a good one. Wojak as well. I'll go ahead and go to the chart here. Now, with Wojak, as you know, is a huge meme in meme culture and crypto, and it's at 2.1 million right now. The problem is there's been other Wojaks, and so there's been this, it's called PvP, player versus player, when it comes to trading, and they're all fighting for the same eyes and liquidity whenever there's multiple, okay? And that's the problem with a lot of these like this, and that's why I think like, stupid, and then football, Inu, like those are more original. You're not going to have any more dogs drawn on a football, soccer ball. You're just not going to find that. It's original, so it's got a great thesis behind it, with it being Premier League championship. But with Wojak, the thesis is that it's bottom line, it's a part of crypto culture, but maybe it's because people can't always relate with Wojak. I don't know if it's like, this is a really funny banner, by the way. This is brand new. I've never seen this before, but they put a new banner on Dex Screener. And so life of Wojak, easy, normal, hard, impossible. But it's just super funny if you've been in crypto. But the thing is not everybody's been in crypto for a long time. But most memes I know specifically are based around Wojak or Pepe when it comes to crypto. So Wojak at 2 million, my thesis is like it should be in the top 10 memes. And that's regardless if I'm in it or not. I just think it deserves to be there, but opinions don't really matter. So unless Pump Fun, now this one right here was launched on Pump Fun. Pump Fun actually tweeted about Wojak the other day, and that's where you saw this pump, I believe, this grind up from like 1.8 to 3. Okay, if I were to zoom in there. So if Pump Fun can continue to back Wojak like they do Troll and like they do Tokaboo and some of these other big memes, I think that it can do really well. Okay, the PvP looks like it's a little bit over. There was another new one on Bonk. It's not doing well anymore. So do I think Wojak can continue to do well? Yeah, I think that, somebody asked about 100 million. I mean, I think it can hit at least 10 million. It's done it once. So for me, I've got a very small amount, but, I'm going to hold it. And in case it ever does run when I'm not watching, I'm going to be super happy for it. And, bottom line, like it's just a cultural meme in crypto. It just deserves to be up there. But again, not everybody can relate with the meme of this bright white guy who turns pink when he's mad, but it is really funny. So we'll see how it does. And I mean, if there's anything else that you guys are looking at that, but I think Wojak can continue to do well. What I use to trade, and a lot of people will ask me this as well too. Axiom Pro. I'll drop the link below. And so with Axiom Pro, you can actually go and you can actually trade on it. You can trade, buy, sell, and this is only for Solana. So the only issue with Axiom is that you can't trade on base, and there's only two chains to trade low caps on right now. It's Solana and it's base. And so base has a ton of stuff right now that's doing pretty well, especially in the virtuals area, in the AI area, which and they tend to back old Coinbase devs too. So if you see anything that has a Coinbase dev and it's under 10 million, it's probably a buy because it's probably going to do well overall. They tend to support those Coinbase devs. And so Base in Solana, but for Axiom, they do a pretty good job when it comes to trading memes. And I'll use this a lot of times. You can hit this discover, and I'll actually end up creating a video that talks about Axiom Pro and what you can do. And it's free to use. But if you want to use it, you can also do perps trading and other things. I'll drop a link below if you'd like to hit it. Awesome to try it out. You can store your own wallet, or you can import a wallet as well. But there's a lot of cool things about it. I'll end up making a video, but this is just one thing that I use because specifically the new Heaven Dex, any coin that's launched on that, they're not showing up on Dex Screener very well. So because of that, I have to use Axiom, and then I'll end up buying and trading on that. So that's just one thing that I have used, and I think there continues to be more and more tools out there, better tools than ever, AI, etc., when it comes to trading and investing in crypto. So, but that's really it for me. The big things that I wanted to talk about is this a cycle top? The answer is no. Again, I talked about the Bitcoin quantile model. I talked about a lot of other things, wasn't mass euphoria. The wick wasn't a blow off the top at all. And so I think that when it comes to Bitcoin, it's still ranging here in this weekly range, and it's looking good. The daily's holding okay when it comes to this price right here. But can it continue to hold? And if it can, I think it will continue to trend on up, probably to 120K from there. Could reject, but basically a range until we get to Friday. So watch for chop, watch for volatility. I'll continue to make new videos this week. I'll continue to make recorded videos with education in it. And so I want to have more live streams to have more interaction and have conversation and then have, questions, etc. So, I know a lot of you guys support the things that I've helped in and that I like. So, a lot of times I'll hear about Bongo, Wojak, and these other tokens that I've talked about that I have a thesis over. But definitely everybody is welcome, and we'll talk about all things. Not only that, but we definitely always want to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what's hot in the market and what to look ahead when it comes to that. So with that said, that's it for me. I think that this was a great live stream. Thanks for coming out. And so if you're watching this, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you've not. I'll probably do some Bitcoin giveaways as well, eventually. And so I just got to get back into the swing of things. I used to make more videos, and so just want to try to do that when it comes to supporting the community. And so I'll go ahead and log off here if I figure out. So I think I have it down. So with that said, guys, make sure to keep watching. This week is going to be a big week. Expect chop ahead, FOMC meeting Wednesday, meeting minutes on Wednesday, jobless claims on Thursday, Walmart earnings on Thursday, and then going into Jackson Hole and Fed Powell talking on Friday. That's when we're going to see probably where the market moves next. So I'll make more videos this week, and we'll stay up to date. Any big news comes out tomorrow, I'll hop back on. We'll make some more videos, have some more chats, and we'll go from there. Okay, guys? All right. So with that said, you guys have a great rest of your day. Trade safe, and I will see you on